Is 3, 2, 1. It's good?
Yeah.
I think it's good.
Yep.
It took all of the fiber of my beings not to say 3, 2, 1 in like a jazzy voice, like and a 1, and a 2, and a 3. And I was like, don't do that because it's got to be focused.
I find it hard to catch your rhythm when you get jazzy.
It's just chaos, man. I was like, wait, no, but you need the repetitiveness to clap to know when. Welcome
5, 6,
to
7,
14.
Hello. We're back.
And we did it. For everyone here that's listening, it's just been a week. But for us, it's been more.
Currently, we have 0 listeners because we still haven't uploaded.
What?
We'll get them.
There's thousands in my head.
Yeah. Who knows? Until you measure it, it could be anything.
Could be anything.
All right, so number 14.
Number 14. So I feel like we talked about this a little bit last time. I don't know what it was about the visage of Franklin Pierce.
He looks like a little kid. Well, not a kid.
He looks
but...
like a little. Well, he was the youngest president to be elected at the time.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not sure if he is overall. I don't know if he still holds that title or not. I did not find that.
Do you know how old he was when he was president?
He was
probably like 40, right?
no, I think he was in his 50s.
Oh, that's really old. No offense to our 50-year-old listeners.
I mean, back then it was.
Yeah.
But he was still younger than the previous president. So it wasn't like he was like super young, but he was just younger.
Yeah, he wasn't geriatric.
I really was like, I don't know what. I definitely judged the book by the cover and thought he was a kinder soul than what he really was.
Mm-hmm. Oh, that's how they get you.
That's how he was the first fuckboy of the presidencies.
Really? What in what sense? Was he sleeping around, or he was?
No, I guess he was more like he wasn't. Sorry,
maybe I don't know what a fuckboy is.
Yeah, I mean, I'm using the fuckboy term very lightly here. I don't think he fucked around. But he definitely just seesawed on what side of the world, like what side of like politics he wanted to be on.
Mm.
And I mean, I do feel bad for him. He had a very sad portion of his life. But then he just kind of like, I don't know, part of me feels like he was like a super nerd or like a super political person that he just like couldn't read the room about slavery.
Oh,
because he was like, I don't know, he's like, it's the Southern's right to do it. I'm not saying we should get rid of it, but the South deserves to have it. But then the South just like kind of hated him. They like, we don't really want him on our team. We don't care that he supports us.
Oh, right. So no one liked him.
No one really liked him. Yeah, I don't know.
It's a good thing he's handsome.
I read through. Yeah, and also what was it? Okay, wait. A lot of historians list him as like one of the worst.
The worst. I gotta look at this chart here. What's this guy's name? Franklin Pierce. Oh yeah, have we even said his name yet?
Yes, sorry, Franklin Pierce. Franklin Pierce is the president, number 14 we're doing today.
It looks like he... Wait a minute. Oh, I see.
We looked at this last time, and I think he was below Trump.
Right.
Right? And I was like, oh no. I really thought he was going to be this, like, young freedom fighter that was, like, one of the, like, to step through that, like, led the way even for, like, Lincoln to do his
bring
thing.
His
But
new,
I judged.
Young ideology.
I was wrong. I do not know how to judge people by just a photo.
All right. What was so bad about him?
Well,
Should we start from the beginning, or
start at the beginning?
At what point in his career did he drop the ball?
Like instantly. Like there were some things that he did. We'll get to it, but like he did do some like significant work.
Mm-hmm.
But because everyone just hated him, they just didn't. It was never recognized as it being anything. So he was a Northern Democrat. Like he was from the North. He was from, I think, originally New York.
A Yankee. Sure here.
No, sorry. Well, New Hampshire.
Which is like I don't know what they call it.
Close-ish. A Hampshire. Hampshire.
Hamstring. A hamstring.
Ham sandwich.
Ham sandwich.
Yes, he was a Northern Democrat, but he believed that the abolitionist movement was a fundamental threat to the nation's unity, which basically abolitionists were the people who were like, end slavery. He also alienated a lot of anti-slavery groups, and by signing, so he alienated a lot of the anti-slavery groups by signing a Kansas-Nebraska Act, and he also enforced the Fugitive Slave Act, which was the
Alaska,
where it's like anyone who's escaped from the North.
Name Milford Pierce.
What's his name?
Millard Fillmore.
Millard Fillmore, aka one of the Baldwin brothers. Yeah.
Alec.
So, abolitionism. There's my tongue twister. The movement to end slavery. So, like, he basically was a Northerner who supported the South, and the South didn't like him because he was a Northerner, and the Northerners were like, "What the fuck, bro? Like, what are you doing?"
Was the Kansas Nebraska Act just for having slavery in those states?
Well, not really. It was like it was a territory near that's now it's still a part of like Kansas and Nebraska that they I think purchased from New Mexico, and they wanted to build a railway from California to North Carolina, and that would go through that territory. And they needed enough votes to get there, and because he was a Democrat, the Southerners wouldn't sign it, so that's why he was like, hey, I'll do the Fugitive Slave Act, and I'll make sure that you get your slaves back that have all escaped to the North. So you sign my, like, train bill to get this, like, to get the West open for people to start settling out there. Instead of them going on the Oregon Trail, they could just, like, take a train. And so the North was like, what the fuck? Like, that you're basically, one, trying to build a train with slaves, and then to get the votes, you're trying to basically go back on all of this work that we've done to try and free these people, basically.
And this guy was a Democrat? Yeah, he must have been.
He was a Democrat, yes.
Do you know if they were still Democratic Republicans then, or I guess?
Yeah. I mean, like Lincoln was a Republican. We just haven't seen one since Republicans haven't really come into play just yet. We've been mostly dancing between Democrats and Whigs.
Yeah, I guess the last Democratic Republican was John Quincy Adams, and I guess they just straight pure blood Democrats.
Yeah, exactly. So that's basically when we get into, like, now starting with Franklin Pierce, and then until our days today, it just goes back and forth. Now there is a national union that happens with Abraham Lincoln and Andrew Johnson, but that's during the Civil War. So the nation is split while they were president. So there's no.
Geez, we're getting pretty close to the Civil War now.
Yep.
Got two more.
Yep. I'm realizing I have to do Abraham Lincoln, and I don't know if I want that. I feel like we should join forces.
Okay, yeah. Yeah, I think we should both learn.
Because it's big. Yeah. Yeah. Okay, good.
I wouldn't mind learning some of the hot shots, you know.
Yeah. I think I'm going to watch the I think Daniel Day-Lewis did a Lincoln movie.
Oh, okay. You watch that, then I'll watch the Abraham Lincoln Vampire Slayer, and then we can aggregate our knowledge. What is there any other Lincoln movies?
There's probably. I mean, I forgot that movie existed. There probably is. I mean, we could watch Clone High.
Yeah. That's a quick watch.
Quick watch is a 2D animated series about them cloning historical figures and then being in high school together. There is, I think if you just watch any American history movie around that time. Wild Wild West with Will Smith.
Oh yeah,
I think there's I think Abraham Lincoln is there for like a couple of seconds. There's like a train being built, and the big like spider robot's coming, and you just see a really tall top hat in the distance. He's like, you never see his face, but he's just like there.
Damn.
I'm like 80%
you
sure.
See like the back of his head.
Yeah.
Okay,
They reference the president, but they don't actually. Yeah.
Cool.
Okay. Perfect.
We're ready.
Good. So Pierce. His goal coming into the presidency, he was like, I'm gonna be neutral. I'm gonna be a civil servant.
Easier said than done.
Right, like I'm gonna service both sides. I'm gonna satisfy the Democratic Party's diverse elements with patronage, and then I'm also gonna like try and cater and be like the cool guy to the South. Try and like I'm gonna bring these two nations together. I'm gonna stop this like turmoil that's been happening. And it just like failed. It just turned like his party turned against him. The South was like, we don't want you. It was a rough time.
Mm-hmm.
He was an expansionist who signed the Gadsden Purchase, which is land in Mexico, and he attempted to acquire Cuba from Spain but failed. The Gadsden Purchase is like
he polished off the map there then. Right?
Yeah. He was finished. Yeah, he finished off that's what like, he finished off the map, I think, of America, but like because everyone hated him, they don't really like recognize. Like, okay, no, like he did that. Yeah. All right. Whatever. Yeah. Exactly. He also signed treaties with Britain and Japan. And he also was the start of where was it after? He signed a bunch of these like treaty trades that like I would think supported their income in the States, but because of the signing of the act of the Kansas-Nebraska Act that basically like overshadowed like any like good thing he did while he was president, because that basically I think was the last spark. Maybe James Buchanan did more stuff, because you get James Buchanan and then basically the Civil War starts after James Buchanan.
It starts with Abraham Lincoln, right?
Yeah.
Is there some kind of
1860 or 1861?
Must be. I'm not sure. Do you know if there's some kind of we're getting ahead of ourselves, but do you know if there's some kind of like Franz Ferdinand powder keg event where that like sparked it all, or was it
I don't. It's possible. And the Civil War does start in 1861, which is when
what month?
Like April, I think it said.
Oh wow!
So it literally is like
right when
like Abraham. And the spark actually might be Abraham becoming president, honestly, because he's a Republican and not a Democrat. Mm-hmm. So that's basically the South being like, oh shit, we now no longer have control over what's happening in the government. Mm-hmm. Abraham's coming in, and that's it, folks. So that's when they're like, all right, we're at war now because we're not going to be able to do what we want to do.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Well, there's one thing I know about Franklin Pierce that I was reading a long time ago, and I was just like, let's pick a random president and see if he's interesting. And there was, I don't know if I'm spoiling anything, but did you know about the train thing?
I was just, mm-hmm.
I thought that was pretty interesting.
So I think you're talking about his son who passed away.
Yeah.
It was a train accident. Yeah. He had a very, like, difficult life before he was a president. Mm-hmm. He was popular and outgoing, apparently, but 3 of his children died. And his wife suffered illness and depression a lot, mostly because all of their kids died.
Yeah.
And his last surviving son was killed in a train accident while their family was traveling just before his inauguration.
Yeah.
And his wife was quoted being like, God was punishing us because he wasn't supposed to be president.
Can you imagine?
Yeah, and it was like, they describe it was a horrific accident. Like, him and his wife were also in it.
Yeah.
But they survived. But, like, his son was, like, almost, like, decapitated. And, like, it was, like, I'm sure a very gruesome scene for both of them to see. And, of course, they didn't have, the same medical treatments that we have now, where the quick response. So,
Slow your head back down. Man, and
yeah.
he was 11 years old.
Yep.
Damn.
And their like last surviving child, because they'd already had children die in the past.
Just like from natural.
It didn't mention it. I would assume from like illness.
Yeah, I guess
you know,
that's how
they
it
got
was back then.
a cold. They ate cranberry, or was it cherries?
Cherries and milk. Oh no, I'm
cherries
drinking
and
milk
milk, yeah.
right now. I could die.
Oh my god. Yep. Pierce was known to be a very heavy drinker, and he died in 1869 of cirrhosis,
I think that's your liver.
which is like, yeah, your liver like has
A drinking liver.
like a scarring on your liver. So yeah, he was he was an alcoholic, unfortunately. But rough times.
Fair enough. Like, yeah, that makes sense. His wife blamed him for
Yeah.
the death of his
Yeah.
child.
So yeah, as a result of his support of the South and failing to hold the Union together, historians, scholars generally rank Pierce as one of the worst and least memorable U.S. presidents.
Okay, wait. Tell me about. Do you know about his vice president? You said he was having a gay romance with a.
We're saying that we're saving that for the last. I have a whole section of information of that, so
Okay,
don't
alright,
you
sorry,
worry.
I'm getting ahead of myself.
But that's my persist de resistance for the end.
Okay, I won't spoil. Well, I already spoiled it, but
Yeah, I mean, we did talk about it last
it's true.
session that we had, yeah, because I did a little peek, and I was like, perfect. And technically, this straddles yours, because the relationships with the next president, James Buchanan.
we can get. Have you ever seen the movie The Disappearance of Eleanor Rigby?
I have not.
It's with James McAvoy and what's her name? She's redheaded. She's in Interstellar.
Jessica Chastain.
Yeah, I think so.
No, Amy. No, yeah, Interstellar. She's in Jessica Chastain. Yeah.
Yeah, so
I can't believe I just said that.
yeah,
That's
yeah,
wild.
and I can't believe I was like, yeah, that's her. Wow,
The heck?
we're so
at
in
us.
tune with the universe. Okay, so
Look at us.
the movie is actually two movies, and it's the same story, but from the one perspective's from Jessica Chastain, the other's from James McAvoy. And the reason I bring that up is because that's kind of what our two podcasts will be like. It'll be from the view of Mr. King is his name?
William something King.
Oh, quite the romance.
William
Our King. Rufus Devine.
R. King, yeah.
William Rufus Devine King.
Yeah. He was Pierce was quoted saying that the abolitionists were an agitation and they were an annoyance, and he saw the federal action against slavery as an infringement on southern state rights.
Mm-hmm.
Even though he was morally opposed to safe slavery himself.
Yeah.
He was like, I don't believe in it. He's like, but the South's been doing it for a while, so why are we telling them what to do?
Mm-hmm.
So he was very, contradictive to himself, and, just, trying to be that, Switzerland neutral just made it out to be, he just didn't have the guts to, stand up for what he believed in.
Mm-hmm.
Or maybe he didn't know.
One thing I find interesting is that if you think about it, technically all the presidents before him had that same opinion, but as they get closer to the Civil War, they're starting to be looked at as unfavorably. That people call them bad presidents because
Yeah.
But apparently I don't know, let's see here, James Monroe. Well, I guess he did some stuff, but they didn't. The opinions are the same, but they're just in different times.
Well, I think it's like when you hear the same excuse 30 times.
Yeah.
The 31st time, someone's gonna snap. It's like, okay, we've heard this now.
Mm-hmm.
We get no, that we gotta stop all this madness. I think people just got frustrated, and they've been arguing. Lawyers and politicians, I guess, have been arguing now for. I feel like it's been
How long has it
almost
been?
10, 20 years, because this was popping up around Like, Polk
About 60
and
years,
John
yeah.
Tyler Town. Yeah, of them just like arguing about it and trying to figure it out as they're like expanding their country. And then finally they're like, well, screw you guys. This is it. We're now at war.
Wow.
Pierce is a lawyer, politician. He was a U.S. House representative. He worked in the U.S. Senate. He did a lot of, like, government stuff. And I feel like that's where everyone's coming from now. Everyone's just, like, the same thing over and over again. Except for except for Zachary Taylor, who was the random general.
That guy still good.
Yeah.
That guy still kills me.
He's just like,
he's like,
just I guess I'm president now.
He sounds like the biggest curmudgeon. Like,
yeah.
I guess that's.
I hate everything.
Look what you done again, Zachary.
God damn it. Pierce was around and working in politics when James K. Polk got his victory, and he actually befriended him and became the House Speaker, and they both served in Congress together. So I do feel like Franklin Pierce maybe looked up to James Polk a little bit. The other thing is Franklin Pierce was like really envious of the military, and I think was very, maybe not jealous, but I think always wanted to be this like amazing war hero, but just like never had the chance to do so. He admired his father and brother's service in the youth, and I guess like he was the younger one that just like went into to school and became a politician and was like, man, I've got all these rough and tumble military family, but I'm the nerd of the family.
Oh yeah.
So when Congress declared war on Mexico, he like immediately volunteered. He was like, sign me up. Like, let's go to war. I'm gonna be the best general ever. And it feels very like
Vietnam.
Well, not Vietnam. It's more like I'm this fancy like politician, but I'm also a badass, but really I'm not. Kind of thing where it's like they gave him he even turned down Polk offered him to be attorney general, and he turned it down knowing that the war was happening, so that he could become a colonel and a commander, and they ended up giving him like the brigadier general title, which feels like a very like fluff title, and he led troops in to the Mexican-American War. The travel there was very disastrous, and it took them a really long time to like get to the war front, and they had to like battle like I guess like shit happened as they were traveling that delayed them. He also, his horse suddenly startled during the official charge, knocking him groin first against his saddle. The horse then tripped into a crevasse and pinned Pierce underneath, debilitating his knee. The incident made it look like he had fainted, causing one of the soldiers to call him General Pierce is a damned coward. And he limped into battle afterwards. He just like fell off his horse.
Oh man.
And so like he just doesn't have the luck, and two, I think the fortitude to be president, because one, nobody liked him, and two, the one thing he really wanted to do, it just failed at it, and everyone made fun of him.
Should have listened to his wife.
It's true.
He
could have been cursed.
Yeah, the Pierce curse. Do you know much about his wife? Like, why was she? What was his relationship with her?
I think they were fine. I think they were just mostly depressed because
Their kid died.
All their kids died. Sorry, I've lost my mouse. Oh, there it is. Let's click her name and see. Her name was Jane.
Her middle name is Means.
Jane Means Pierce. Her last name was Appleton, which I feel like we've had an Appleton before, though. That could have just been like a common surname at the time.
Oh, I just.
Oh, go ahead.
Oh, the next president, James Buchanan, his first lady is named Harriet Lane Acting. So he wasn't married to her. Interesting. He must have been.
Oh.
Sorry, what were you saying?
Maybe I'd be interested to see, because why they would name her that and not maybe she remarried after he died.
I don't know if they were they married. It says she was acted as first lady.
Oh, that might.
Oh, it was her uncle. So it was his niece.
Which that plays more into them thinking that William King and him had a relationship, because I don't think Buchanan was ever married.
Mm-hmm.
And they lived. Okay, no, I'm sorry. No, persistence. We're saving it for the end. We're saving it for the end. Honestly, I had more fun reading about the vice president than I did about.
Yeah, fair enough.
The Pierce.
This guy,
mostly just for the
But we should also because apparently this guy has come up what's his name, Rufus R. King.
William King.
William King. Oh wait, is there another Rufus King?
No, his middle name's Rufus.
Oh yeah.
William R. King. Yeah.
Do you know much about him?
I don't know. Well, I read
his
about the vice president.
Romance.
Yes. Or what are we asking? I don't know what you're asking me.
Well, I just want to know more about him, but we can save. We're so impatient.
We're saving. I know. I want to so bad, but I also don't, because I know if it's one of those things where it's like, if I start talking about that, I'm not going to want to finish the Franklin Pierce stuff. You know what I mean? It's like you have to eat your vegetables before you have dessert.
Before you have your pudding. You got to eat your meat before Christmas you pudding. Have your pudding.
Your Christmas pudding. Yeah. I just quickly clicked Jane Pierce. I don't see anything really. She was...
Oh, look, there's a picture of her and her dead child.
I know.
Oh.
Yeah. But a lot of times it sounds as though she had, a really poor health.
Mm-hmm.
Which may have just been she was she was a sickly woman. But I assume, after losing, 3 children, and she probably just wasn't that social, so they were like, oh, she's sickly, but really she just didn't want to, hang out with anybody.
Mm-hmm.
She was like, oh, yikes. Yeah, she was very religious, hence her saying that the God could punish them for, his political career.
Mm-hmm. It says that she dressed the White House for mourning.
Yes, his inauguration, his first week in office, was in mourning.
Damn.
Because his son had died a couple weeks before.
Oh, check.
Because I guess they went on a family vacation before he became president.
Mm-hmm.
And during that vacation, that's when the train crash happened. And so in her eyes, in her her theory is that if you hadn't have been elected president, we wouldn't have gone on vacation to celebrate it, hence our son wouldn't have been killed.
Check this out. It says Pierce attempted to communicate with her late son while she was first lady, sometimes writing letters to him as an exercise in grief. She also attempted to contact him through a seance with the assistance of the Fox sisters, major figures in the spiritualism movement. Whoa! So that
was big.
She had the most spiritual people on call as first lady.
The whole spiritualist movement is wild, because you've got these people that are one, some actually believed in it, mm-hmm. and 2, you had a lot of con artists going in and bamboozling people and taking their money to try and contact people from the past.
Mm-hmm.
Pretty wild.
Yeah, I imagine if I was living back then, I'd probably do something like that. I'd be
bamboozle people?
Yeah, I'd be like a medium. Have you ever seen that movie with Bradley Cooper, where he's like a medium? It's by Guillermo del Toro.
Oh.
I think it's like a year old. What's it called? Nightmare Alley.
I know what you're talking. Yeah, I thought that was a mini-series for some reason.
Are you thinking Cabinet of Curiosities?
No. I know what you're talking about because it's got, I think, Kate Blanchett's in it too.
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah. And like I remember the
Yeah,
scene
yeah.
where she walks out and she's got like a gun in her purse or something. He like psychically knows it's there, but really it's kind of a con. But then things start happening that he's like, "Whoa, this is no longer a con."
It.
That's my Rotten Tomatoes
Have
review.
you only seen the trailer, or have you seen the whole thing?
I've only seen the trailer. I've only seen the trailer.
Willem Dafoe's in it, and he has this great character.
William Dafoe is like I can't wait for him to be in something that wins an Oscar.
Has he not won anything?
Not in a while.
I think he's like
I
one
don't
of.
know if he's ever won an Oscar.
I could like watch Willem Dafoe in anything really. Like, there's this video on the internet of him just sucking air through the gap in his teeth, and it's excellent. It's art.
Have you seen the Boondock Saints?
No, is he in that?
Yep, you need to watch that.
Okay, I'll check it out. I know that's like a very
he's-
famous movie.
It's so good. He's a detective in the movie, and he plays a gay detective, but not in the sense of like it's not like the story is like he's a detective and the movie's about him being gay.
He doesn't solve the
he's a
case in a
detective.
gay way.
Yeah. Yeah, right. Like, you know, like sometimes they tell the story where it's like the focus is like, oh, like their struggle and like they do whatever. It's like no. He's like he's just a detective. He just happens to be gay and like and that's the roles you want, right? It's like I don't like just people. It's not like their main descriptive of like who they are type of thing. So like, but it's really good. He does a really intense job, and there's a moment where he like slow-mo dances as he's like trying to solve this case. But what's fun about the movie, and I'm trying not to spoil it that you can enjoy it, is you follow two brothers, so you kind of get both sides of the story. So you see them.
Oh, it's like Eleanor Rigby. No, I'm just kidding.
Yeah.
Who's the other actor? Do you know?
Norman Reedus is in it. Daryl.
Yeah.
And I don't remember the brother's name, but they're two like, they're fresh out of prison and they're like gang brothers, and they come back to town to like I can't remember, to do something, and so it's kind of like they're the protagonists even though they're the antagonists type of thing.
Yeah, it's like
It's really,
Catch
really
Me
good.
If You Can.
And there's a famous Irish actor, and I want to say he's Billy something. Billy Connolly is in it as well. And he is a I think a comedian as well.
Oh. Right, I recognize this guy.
Yeah. Yeah, great movie. There's a second Boondock Saints. It's also okay. I would kind of compare it to John Wick, except for there's not like an underground assassins like hotel. It's less world building like John Wick, but I feel like John Wick and these two guys would get along really well. Because they're just like kind of like badass.
Unless they kill each other first.
Unless they kill each other. Unless they each have a contract out for each other, and that's just business at that point.
It's just business, Dutch.
Yeah. It's just business, boy. It's just business. It's just business, Dutch.
Nothing personal, just business. How did we get on this tangent again?
We were talking about Jane Pierce. She tried to contact her son from the great beyond.
Spiritualism. Right.
You said you were
I wanted
you were
to be
going to do
Bradley
that.
Cooper.
You want to be Willem Dafoe. Oh no, you want to be no. You want to be Bradley Cooper.
I don't want to be Willem Dafoe in that movie. He's a weirdo. Yikes.
That's all I took from that conversation. Is you just want to be Willem Dafoe.
He plays a carny in it. Like a carny owner, like a carnival guy. Back like in the whatever 1800s.
One movie I haven't seen is The Lighthouse, which has Willem Dafoe in that.
Yeah.
He plays like a crazy fisherman man.
Yeah, with Robin Pattinson. I watched that in theaters with some friends, and it was it's a It's definitely
It's a trip.
out there. Yeah. Have you seen it?
Yeah. I know. That's the one I have not seen.
Okay.
That I've been told I need to, because it's like they're like, no, you need to watch it.
Yeah, that movie was wild.
But but don't go into it thinking you're gonna understand anything that's gonna happen.
Or understand what they're saying. Watch it with
Yeah.
subtitles if you.
Subtitles.
Yeah. Watch it with subtitles.
The skin of a killer, Bella. Anyways, Franklin Pierce, one of the worst presidents of the United States.
And least memorable, it says.
And least memorable. So it is now 1852. And it is... Wait, let me just confirm something here that I'm about to read. Okay, so he's only been in office for... Wait, I feel like my dates are wrong, because that doesn't make any sense. Because he was in office from 1853 to 1857. Never mind. I've got this wrong. I was started talking about there's an 1856 election that happens a year before he's ending his presidency, and it's the Democratic Party is deciding who their next leader of their party is going to be, aka who they're going to have in the running to be the president the following year.
Right, because obviously the next guy was Buchanan.
Buchanan, right? Normally, if your party has full confidence in you and your president, they would keep you on terms for another 4 years and give you 2 terms.
This guy only got one term?
He only got 1 term. Because no one liked him.
Yeah, he was less favorable than Donald Trump.
Yeah.
Another one-term president.
But before he did become president, so during his election before, I think the reason he got in and did it was the Democrats were divided on the slavery issue. So some were for it, some were against it, and that's why there was this weird turmoil.
Mm-hmm.
And Van Buren had just returned back after the Free Soil. So Van Buren, who is still my favorite so far.
Wait, he returned back to the Democrats?
Yeah, he was always a Democrat.
But he was just became a Democrat. Free Soil.
But he was a part of a Free Soil party, which basically were the groups of the Democrats who did not believe in slavery.
Yeah, but he was always within their own. He stayed in the Free Soil.
He was always a Democrat.
Right? Yeah. Oh, okay.
Yeah. So he was a Democrat while he was a president, but after being a president, he stayed in politics.
Mm-hmm.
And during his time in politics, there was a portion of time where he was a part of the Free Soil Party.
Right.
And then during Franklin Pierce's election to president, he came back to the Democrats as well. And I think as an attempt to try and convince other Democratic Party members to hey guys, let's stop slavery. And so during him coming back, I think there was an inner turmoil within the Democrats where oh, we'll just put Franklin Pierce up there, he'll do something. And they're like, oh shit, we fucked up. So yeah, Pierce started his presidency in mourning. We talked about the son who passed away, unfortunately. Pierce, then the youngest man to be elected president, chose to affirm his oath of office on a law book rather than the Bible. And I think John Quincy Adams was the other one that did that, where he swore on a law book. A lot of political administrative strife. He was accused of filling his cabinet with pro-slavery, while the Southern newspapers accused of supporting I can never say it. Abolitionism? I can never say it. Abolitionism. Which is abolitionism. So it's ABOLITIONISM.
Abolitionism?
Abolitionism. Woo!
Physics.
We got there eventually. What's the word that you were saying? I can't remember. There was a couple episodes ago we were recording, and you kept saying a word.
Pseudonymous?
No.
Pseudonym?
I'll look back. I'll look back at the notes and see if it pops up, because I think it was during one of my things where I said it, and it was really funny every time you repeated it back, and it was like just right enough, which is me trying to say abolitionism, which I still don't know. It just doesn't compute in my head. Yeah, so no one really liked what side he was on. It seems as though Pierce had, like, smart intentions, or at least, like, he had, like, a political mind. He was a lawyer, and so he was trying to run a lot more of an efficient government. He implemented an early system of civil service examinations, and then 3 decades later would eventually become a mandate that U.S. government would need to be awarded basis on merit and not patronage. So he was pushing forward to, like, let's stop having, just because you're Senate and you have a son, your son just becomes a senator. No, like, let's hire people and bring people in who have, like, studied policies and politics and, like, stuff like that. So, like, in that sense, you're like, okay, like, that's a smart thing to start to do. It's like, okay, we're the 14th president, let's stop just, having nepotism rule our government. Let's actually bring people in who know stuff. So that's rough. The greatest challenge to the country's equilibrium during the Pierce administration was the passing of the Kansas-Nebraska Act, which we talked about.
Do you know why, why they got Kansas, like that the bottom of the map there? Like,
I think they just bought it, as far as I was aware.
And Mexico's like, yeah, sure.
Yeah, because after the war between them, I think Mexico was hurting for money.
Oh, I see.
I think they funded, like, a lot, because I don't know if anybody, like, won per se in that war, though you could say I don't think anybody wins in war. It's just, like, whoever.
Well, I think one side won less than the other.
That's what I mean, right? One loses more than the other.
Yeah.
That's all that happens.
Yeah.
No one wins, kind of thing. But the senator of Illinois, Stephen Douglas, really wanted this railway built, because he wanted, from Chicago to California, he wanted to be able to have a train between his state and the West Coast. And fun fact about Stephen Douglas, he actually beat Lincoln in the 1858 Senator of Illinois elections. And they used to call him Little Giant, because Stephen Douglas was short but forceful. So if you ever want to change your nickname from Deep Throat, you can go for a Little Giant, if you would, if you want.
Maybe we'll see. I'll see how I feel. You can, call me that here. Call me that for this episode, and then I'll see how it feels.
Hey, Little Giant. Is Franklin Pierce your favorite president?
Okay, wait. Why are you talking to me like I'm a child now? Hey, Little Giant. Who's your favorite president?
Yeah. So then that, Pierce wanted to organize the Nebraska Territory without explicitly. He basically wanted to, like, push it through without even, like, bringing up the matter of slavery. But of course, that's the forefront of everybody's minds. So then Southern votes were like, hey, if you push that Slavery Act and get all of our stuff back, all of our air quotation property back, we'll vote for this. And so then, of course, the Democrats were supportive of this, the Republicans were not, and bing bang boom, everybody hates Franklin Pierce.
Everybody hates everybody.
So we're close to the juicy part. This is the last section that I have of for Franklin. Is just a year before his presidency ended. Pierce fully expected that his party would reinstate him again, even though in reality his chances were, like, very, very low. His supporters within the Democratic Party ended up contacting Stephen Douglas, who is the senator of Illinois, and actually promoted him to try and be the next leader of the Democratic Party. And as well, another section pushed for James Buchanan. And so there was a convention, and there was a ballot that was run to see who would be the next leader of the Democratic Party, and it was between Franklin Pierce, Stephen Douglas, and James Buchanan, and it was a stalemate. Like they ran the vote between all three. Like it was split. Like I think technically Buchanan had 135 votes, but I think they have to have like a majority vote for it to go through. And so they voted a bunch. It just kept tying. So then eventually Pierce just stepped down and said, give it to Douglas. And then again, they ran it again, and it was a 50 split. Like, well, it may not have been an exact 50 split, but again, neither Buchanan nor Douglas got a majority vote. And so then Douglas, I think, stepped down because he was only 43 at the time. So he was like, oh, I'm young. I'll just get the next one. James Buchanan will probably die soon. So I'll be fine.
Little did he know.
And so, yeah. And I don't think... he doesn't... I mean, well, he may become a leader of the Democratic Party eventually, but he does not become president.
Yeah. The next Democratic president, if you don't count Andrew Jackson, is like 30 years later.
Yeah, exactly.
Or 20.
Grover Cleveland. Yeah. And so he steps back, and of course, James, they come to a deadlock, and then Douglas steps down to say, you know what, no, go for it. And Buchanan becomes the next leader of the Democratic Party, who then becomes president next year. Jesus, next episode.
Who knows?
Who knows?
I'm going on vacation.
So, this is it. This is the moment. This is the juicy bits.
The moment our audience have all been waiting for. A little romance.
William. Romance. And I want a, like... I don't even know how to describe it. Have you watched, that Pirates show that just came out with Darcy something?
Darcy. Pirate show?
And no. And Taika Waititi.
Oh yeah, where they're like,
I think is it Black Flag?
Something sales show. Maybe.
No, my God, it's gonna bug me. It's a great show. Taika Waititi. Give me your IMDb. Sir. I'm sure there's people
Our flag means death.
Anyone's listening. Our flag means death. I was close enough with Black Flag.
And I said something about sales. Close enough.
Yeah. Anyways, I would like a romantic comedy like that, but instead of pirates, it's two politicians. Yeah. Which you could even go super serious drama, and I would love a forbidden romance show or movie with James Buchanan and William R. King.
Who would play them?
Oof.
Okay, let me get a picture.
I mean, the hot guy right now that's everyone's lips is Pedro Pascal.
Oh yeah, he could play William R. King. Yeah, I could see that.
Yeah, and then for Buchanan,
he needs to be older. John Lithgow.
Not a lot. No, he's not that much older. Whoa.
Who could he be?
But maybe Hugh Grant.
Or a Colin Firth.
Or a Colin Firth. Or even a Colin Farrell.
Ooh.
That would be kind of fun. Or... Anyways, doesn't matter. This is where I'm wasting
cast
time.
It later.
But yes, William Rufus Devane King, or William R. King, was the 13th Vice President of the United States. He was a politician and diplomat. And he was a U.S. Representative and Senator for North Carolina. He was a Senator to Alabama, and he also served as Minister to James K. Polk. So he was very much involved in politics. And it's kind of been an argument among historians and writers that trying to decide if William had a homosexual relationship with James Buchanan or not. Just because obviously there was no Twitter back then. There was no DMs
Grindr.
for them to kind of exactly. And so like they do have letters between the two of them, and they do have correspondence. And
Do they write hearts on their eyes?
I mean, maybe.
That'd be a good way to tell. Or when they write united.
So yeah, there's a lot of yeah, I mean, you know, like maybe they sprayed their letters with perfume and cologne, but just time the smell has deteriorated, so we'll never know. I wrote down a bunch of historian names. There was like John Baker has written a biography about it, and then there's a couple historians, Shelley Ross, James Loewen, and Robert P. Watson. Mm-hmm. And all of them focus on, obviously, the close relationship between him and James Buchanan, because that's really the only knowledge and his like stuff they have to go on. They had a very close relationship during all of their political career, and they actually lived together for 13 years.
Oh, really?
Which, in theory, isn't, like, unheard of, especially because they're both single, and, like, a lot of times men of that time, like, you would live in an apartment, and you would have, like... There'd be, like, because you weren't married, you would have, like, a housemaid.
It's a financial reason.
Yeah, sure, yeah.
Just two bachelors?
Yeah, and, like, they lived together up until William's death. Like, so that's where they're like, what the heck?
I wonder if they ever kissed.
Like, of course their relationship.
I wonder if they ever kissed while they were in the same apartment.
I think they might have, because Buchanan. So I want this to be true. Buchanan used to refer to their relationship as a communion a lot, but again, like they're learned people that maybe they're just using fancy language, but really you're kind of like what? They would attend functions together, like they would arrive together for like dinner parties and like gatherings, like as you would as a couple. And contemporaries also noted that Andrew Jackson used to mockingly call both of them Miss Nancy or Aunt Fancy.
Rhyming names.
Rhyming names. And Aaron V. Brown, which I don't know who Aaron V. Brown is. I'm assuming that's some sort of politician. Aaron V. Brown I think was a writer.
Okay, wait. Go to the thing for the Wikipedia page for Aaron V. Brown. What is that thing on his chin?
Aaron V.
Is that a
Brown.
beard?
Oh no.
Looks like he's got a tumbleweed on his chin.
Whoa. I think that was the style back then.
I don't know. Maybe he was setting the trend. It's a tumbleweed. He's got tumbleweed on his chin. Anyways, continue.
He's got like in his collar's so high he has no neck.
But check this out. This guy's referred to King as Buchanan's better half. So he had a weird beard, but he was a sweet man.
Right? There's better half. Yeah. So some historians will point out that customs and expressions were different in the mid-1800s. So they say a lot of people would say a Miss Nancy sounds like, you're being derogatory towards someone who may be homosexual. Mm-hmm. Back then, it was a common term to designate people who were clean of clothing and had really good manners. So
probably
it
gay
could
people,
be... Right? I mean, like, it's up for debate, right? Like, you could say it both ways. Apparently, Aaron Brown was a political enemy of King. So even though he would say that, it's like...
So I can make fun of his beard again?
You can make fun of his beard.
Oh, maybe he was saying that derogatorily, like, in a derogatory sense.
Yeah, that King was Buchanan's better half. Sorry, I just drank my water weird. Oh, God.
Did you drink it upside down?
Mm-hmm.
Well, I'm convinced, personally.
Yeah. So, a lot of biographers as well have found writings wrote that King's fastidious habits and conspicuous intimacy with the bachelor Buchanan gave rise to some cruel jibs. So there's
cruel jibs?
Cruel.
What's a jib?
Cruel. Like
A jab?
me calling you little
Oh,
giant.
like he's like a jib jab.
Yeah, it's a cruel jib. Yeah. And so, like, they're like, okay, yeah, you could argue that Miss Nancy is a term that, like, okay, is nice clothing,
Mm-hmm.
but they had a lot of political enemies that used to make, like, comments about them living together and that they were together. So it's like, okay, come on, guys. Come on. Come on. It happened. Buchanan also adopted a lot of King's mannerisms and romanticized a lot of Southern culture. So it's like they met and he was like, "Oh my god, I love this guy," type of thing.
They wore each other's clothes.
Exactly.
No, I'm just
They
making
both had very. No, I'm believing it. I don't care for making it up. They both had like they were very they have strong political goals and ambitions. Like both of them, I think, like came together as like, oh my god, you like politics? Oh my god, I like politics. And they just like had the perfect like balance
Chemistry.
of like they both wanted the same things. Yeah. I lost my spot. And like their initial plan was to like Buchanan would run for president and he would run for vice president. Like they were gonna do it together.
Oh, why didn't they?
But again, well, because King passed away.
While he was president?
King passed away. 1 second. I closed my tab. In 1853.
Oh yeah, he
Yeah. So just before.
That's right. He died while he was vice president.
Yeah.
Yes, that's right. I did
While
know
he
that.
was Franklin Pierce's vice president. But he had plans of like during yeah, I know. Like that's the tragic like imagine that story though. Like you have these two like young political lawyers like going to school together, falling in love, having these big plans. Finally, like it's 1852, the vote's happening. It's a tie again. James Buchanan's the next the Democratic leader. He's gonna be president next year. And William King, I'm gonna be your vice president, James Buchanan. But then he dies, and it's tragic.
How does he die again?
It didn't say actually, or I didn't read that.
That
I didn't
code
want to
means
know.
he was murdered. No, I don't know. Instead of William R. King, he got John C. Breckinridge.
Tuberculosis. King was ill with tuberculosis and traveled to Cuba in an effort to regain his health. He was not able to be in Washington to take his oath of office in 1853. Oh god, I just dropped something.
Apparently, he was only vice president for a month. Mm-hmm. And then he died. Two star-crossed lovers.
Just two political star-crossed lovers. They spent time apart while King was overseas in a mission in France. Mm-hmm. And there are letters that remain cryptic and avoid revealing any personal feelings at all. But some historians have read them being like, this feels like someone, like it does feel like two people who are in a relationship that are writing to each other. Buchanan wrote to Cornelia Roosevelt talking about while King was away, saying that I am now solitary and alone, having no companion in the house with me. I have gone wooing as several gentlemen, but have not succeeded with any of them. I feel that it is not good for a man to be alone, and I should not be astonished to find myself married to some old maid who can nurse me when I'm sick, provide good dinners for me when I am well, and not expect from me any very ardent or romantic affection. So basically he's like, I don't see the point of getting married to somebody if I'm not going to be a husband to them, because I'm in love with William R. King.
You didn't say that last part.
That's what he said.
That's the subtext.
Yeah. And King died in 1853. Buchanan described him as being among the best, the purest, and the most consistent public men he'd ever known.
What if we find out next week that James Buchanan was like a racist?
Well, I mean, you can be a racist and still love someone. And still be gay. Yeah.
But are we going to appreciate him this as much? Who knows?
I mean, I'll be honest. I'm definitely romanticizing all of this. In my head, it's like star-crossed lovers, which I don't know if this is true or not, and they're probably horrible people from the past. but I think it's a really good movie idea.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it could be like a docu-series.
A docu-series. I just want, like, give me, like, Our Flag Means Death mixed with Bridgerton.
Mm-hmm.
So there's, like, a little bit of comedy in there, right? Like, things are happening. It's a bit, like, fantastical. You're not really sticking too close to historical facts.
Mm-hmm.
And then just have these two historical men fall in love.
Give them their burden learning moment.
Yeah, I think it would heal America if this happened.
Yeah, it would be. Everyone would be like, what were we fighting about?
Yeah.
Let's pass
like
some bills in the house.
Yeah, it's like the Pepsi commercial when Kendall hands the riot police Pepsi and then everything's
like,
fine.
What were we fighting about again?
Oh my god, thanks, Kendall.
Yeah. Wow.
Yeah. Anyways, that's Franklin Pierce. Franklin Pierce is not my favorite president, but William R. King is my favorite vice president.
I don't know. We didn't have a vote. Who would be my favorite vice president? I don't know.
You never know?
Yeah, I never thought about it.
Yeah. Well, I guess it's William R.
Yeah, I guess so.
King. Until further notice.
Also, yeah, he is. It's a good story.
Yeah.
Wow. So I guess that's that.
That's that. We
made it.
Episode 14.
That's 14. Next is James Buchanan, which we'll just go more into that romance.
I can't wait.
So that's just
he's gonna be so sad.
Yeah, it was just a little teaser for the audience. The next week I'll go explicitly into the details of their relationship.
Yeah. And I'll try and keep an open mind if he's a piece of shit.
Remember, even gay people can be assholes.
Everyone's an asshole. Well, thanks for listening, everybody. Thanks for listening.
And remember, if you run for president, your child will die.
Ooh. Well, only if God says so.
Only if God says so.
Yikes.
Tread carefully. Think before you act.
Never judge a president by his portrait, because he probably isn't a nice person.
Yeah. And always don't trust a man with a tumbleweed for a beard.
Yep. And never stick your hand in a pony's mouth.
Yeah. And yeah.
It's just good advice.
That's just general advice.
It's just general. Just don't do it. They'll bite if you stick your hand in there.
What if you are holding a carrot? No, see that? Never mind.
Then they'll definitely.
What
bite
if my
your
fingers
hand.
are made of carrots?
Then do you still want your carrot fingers?
No. Speaking of fingers that are made of food, we missed the Oscar pool. We everything everywhere all at once. Everything everywhere all at once. Cleaned house.
I know, and they deserved it. They goddamn deserved it. Like, I was really worried, because the Oscars in the past have snubbed people before, and I was worried that they weren't going to recognize it. Yeah, and I am so happy they did. Because, like, budget-wise, production value-wise, they did a great job, but they did a lot of, like practical film stuff mixed with effects, so they didn't have, like, the craziest of budget, and usually the Best Picture is, like, a huge film. So, yeah, loved it. So proud of them. Can't wait to see more from the Daniels. If anyone who's listening has not seen Everything Everywhere All at Once, watch it now.
And if the Daniels are listening, hey, how's you?
Hey, Daniels. My favorite scene was the rock scene. I loved it. I was bawling my eyes out.
That was good. I like the raccoon, Chewie.
Yeah. Raccoony. Pretty good.
Alrighty.
Alright. Bye,
care.
everybody.
See you next year. Just kidding. Next week.